Have you ever been on a first date that felt more like a podcast with one host, one guest, and only one subscriber? You sit there nodding and smiling and trying to keep your energy up while somebody tells you about their childhood, their last job, their ex, their 3 favorite sandwiches, and the minor back pain that they've been managing since 2017. Too often, people think first dates are auditions. Here's why I'm a catch, and let me present the evidence. And somewhere along the way, they forget the one thing that actually makes people feel connected is being heard. So if you're wondering how to make a better impression or why your dates keep feeling one-sided, let's talk about why great conversation isn't about talking. If that sounds at all interesting, I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. Here's what usually happens. You sit down, the drinks arrive, and before they've finished saying, "So tell me about yourself," you're already halfway through your origin story. 3 tangents deep, and you've somehow circled back to your dog's gluten allergy, and you can feel it happening. You know you're talking too much, but you can't stop because the silence is scarier than the overshare. And if you can just keep the conversation moving, maybe you'll get points for enthusiasm. But here's the thing. Most people aren't looking for a narrator. They're looking for a vibe, a moment, a flicker of, "I feel safe here." And that only happens when you stop talking long enough to make space for them to show up. First dates aren't auditions. You don't need to prove you're interesting. You need to be interested. Because that's what people remember. Not your funniest story. Not your tragic lasagna incident. They remember how they felt around you. And if you never let them talk, they won't feel much of anything at all. You know what's not listening? Smiling, nodding, and saying, "Totally," while mentally rehearsing your next story about the time you almost adopted a llama in New Mexico. That's not conversation. That's a solo show with a live studio audience. And here's the gem of this episode. Trust me, real listening means staying inside their story, not waiting for your turn, not pivoting the minute they say something that you can one-up. When someone says they just took their mom to see a movie, do not respond with, "Oh, my mom loves movies, especially true crime. Anyway, let me tell you about this weird AMC theater we went to where..." No. Stop. Ask what movie they saw. Ask if their mom liked it. Ask how often they do that together. Make it their moment, because if everything you say leads back to you, it's not a date, it's not a conversation. It's a monologue with appetizers. Back in the 70s, I used to be a checker. That's what they called cashiers at Dominic's. It was a grocery store in the Chicago area, and there were no scanners back then in the day. My favorite thing was working the express lanes, 10 items or less, because my goal was to have every price punched into my cash register before the items even made it into my hands. Then I could just scoop them all at once and slide them straight to the bagger without flipping anything upside down to even look for a sticker with a price. You can't do that anymore with scanners. Anyway, if you enjoy pushing buttons half as much as I did, I've got 2 you might really like. One is becoming a channel member. The other is hitting the subscribe button. As long as you're down there poking around, you might as well go pro. Let's say you've stopped talking. Great. Well, what is your face doing? Because your words might be silent and your expression might be saying, "I'd rather be at home cleaning my garbage disposal." Your eyes are darting and your posture's cold and your smile looks like it's being held hostage. People notice. They can't always articulate it, but they can feel it in their nervous system. If your energy is checked out, if you're physically there but emotionally on a Zoom delay, same result. You don't need to beam like a contestant on Wheel of Fortune, but do lean in, make eye contact, and let your face be warm enough that somebody wants to keep revealing themselves to you. People open up where it feels safe. Most people listen for data. Good listeners pay attention to tone. It's not just what they say, it's how they say it. The pause before they bring up their dad, the sigh when they mention their job, the grin that sneaks in when they talk about hiking or music or their rescue pit bull named Kevin. You don't need to say, I noticed your micro expression shifted. This isn't a TED Talk. Just stay present. Feel into it. If they light up, follow that. If they dim, stay soft. That's the stuff connection is made of. Nobody remembers if you like the same TV show, but they do remember how seen they felt when you caught something that they didn't even say out loud. Now, real quick, let's talk about the difference between listening and remembering. You can nod and your way through a date, but if nothing sticks, if you're asking the same questions next time like it's your first conversation all over again, that doesn't feel charming. That feels like, oh, cool, I was background noise. Great. If they told you they love Thai food, bring up Thai food next time. If they say they hate cilantro, don't take them to Chipotle. If they said they were dreading a Monday meeting, ask how it went. It's not about being impressive. It's about being attentive. And that is way hotter than being clever. Trust me. Some people treat listening like a first date move, like they're borrowing empathy from the library and planning to return it in a week or two. But listening is how you sustain connection. When you're 6 dates in and you remember something they told you casually 3 weeks ago, that's when people fall in love. That's when they feel known. Listening is how people feel cared for. It's how they stay interested, even after the novelty wears off. And it's how you keep someone feeling chosen, even when things might be starting to feel a little more ordinary. Because anyone can flirt, not everyone can keep paying attention. If your dates keep fizzling, or if you leave wondering why the vibe didn't feel very mutual, it might not be about chemistry. It might be about presence. And you don't need to be the most charming person in the room. You just need to be the most curious. The one who makes someone feel like they were the most interesting thing that happened all day. That's the date people talk about. They tell their friends the next day. That's the person they want to see again. You know, my mom always said, Carrie, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and then something else, and I don't remember. She only said it once, and I wasn't really listening. But anyway, take her advice. Talk less, listen more, and watch how your dating life shifts. There she is right now. If you could give her a thumbs up to encourage her, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I promise I'm always listening to what you need next. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and until the next time, have a good one.